Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritually Boujee Astrology, and we are going to do a deeper breakdown on the second, that's right, number two, the second full moon in Capricorn and the changes that are coming with it. Now, before we do that type of breakdown, just a quick little reminder, all of my clients from the middle of July to the end of August get new client pricing on their sessions with me. Now, my sessions are more like life coaching sessions, but they're coming from an astrological standpoint. Sometimes we have certain people that are coming back into our lives and we need to understand the karmic pattern as to why. Sometimes you have new people coming into your life, but they're super familiar and we don't necessarily know why. Because again, we have a karmic pattern we must break in our life. We have different paths that are starting to take shape, different energies that are starting to fall into place while simultaneously having waves of old business and old situations and old themes that are starting to come back around, just like I said they would. And there are times you need a better, deeper, more holistic, soulful understanding as to why. And that's what my sessions are good for. But it's not just about that. I do business, business readings, financial readings, fertility, medical, as in health, that type of thing, generational trauma, all of these different types of readings. I don't just look at one person's chart. A lot of times when I start working with somebody, I get the whole family. And we start looking at the perspective as how the next 6 to 9 months are going to be unfolding for you. Because a lot of this energy that we're in this full moon is going to instigate things that are going to have to be dealt with over the course of the next 6 to 9 months because it's fun. Anyways, a one-on-one session with me for 60 minutes is $35. A 90-minute session is $50. All of my contact information is listed in the description of every single episode. You can find me on social media. You can email me directly. I don't put my phone number out there because that's my business. But anyways, moving along. I said last month in the first full moon in Capricorn video that there would be something that needed to change in regards to responsibility, in regards to elders, in regards to authority, in regards to certain roles that have been had in our lives. As a collective, the entirety of Saturn and Pisces is to transition old entities out and bring new entities in, new roles, new responsibility, new forms of elders in the family. We have new traditions needing to be made. But a lot of people are also trying to bring back those nostalgic old traditions simultaneously, which that's a funny little thing based off of Saturn and Pisces. But we have a new beginning at play while simultaneously closing out old energy. Now, there are a couple of transits about the week that we have been in leading up to this full moon that again speak to closeout. And I have gone over this repeatedly over the last month, just constant Easter egg, Easter egg, Easter egg, Easter egg. Hey, these things mean this, and they're all a collective point. This full moon in Capricorn is a big part of this collective point where we must transition. And we have new things on the horizon. We have new direction, we have new paths, we have new chapters in our journey, we have new things going on in our financial life, in our romantic life, in our physical surroundings. Some of us are changing our environment by moving from one state to another. Some of you are leaving relationships and going into a place on your own for the first time in decades. We are in the midst of transition, of letting go of old while simultaneously going into something new. Now, to tie the two full moons together, in the first full moon in Capricorn, Saturn, the ruler of said full moon, was direct, but he was stationing to go retrograde. And within 2 weeks, Saturn had went retrograde. And now we're in a secondary full moon in Capricorn where certain people in positions of authority and positions of power that had been doing certain things regarding responsibility, their energy has shifted. Some of us no longer have the support of certain people in our lives. Some of us have recently had to remove support of certain people in our lives. Again, our elders, the people that care for our elders, people that have been in positions of authority, responsibility, certain roles are shifting and changing. And in a lot of ways, by the time we get to this full moon, there is a closeout in the shifts in responsibility, in the shifts in roles. Now, some people, this full moon has a finality to it. But for other people, it is the instigator towards a finality that hasn't fully set in yet. And you know, guys, where you're at. And this kind of comes down to, remember, this full moon, the week of this full moon, is when Jupiter went into shadow and Mercury has gone into shadow. There are layers to what we are dealing with. And if you watched my Mercury retrograde video, I said, whatever's going on this week, we come back to at the end of the Mercury retrograde. And when Mercury will finally leave shadow, will be 5 days before eclipse season. So it's fair to say this energy is going to directly impact the start of eclipse season. And if you guys are hearing noise in the background, I'm really sorry. One of my neighbors is doing test runs on his motorcycle and it's getting annoying to me, but hopefully you guys aren't hearing it. I apologize. We're moving into something. And there is, again, some level of finality to it. Think of what has changed around the boss, around the older sibling, around grandpa, around these people that have been in these roles. Something has shifted. The certain amounts of responsibility have shifted. Certain things in treatments have shifted. Certain amounts of information that we were led to believe was a great idea has now been revised. Something has been revealed. And the revealing of certain things will be a bigger impact in the weeks ahead because we are in a timeline of transitioning and we need to finish a lot of unfinished business. And that is going to be the stuff we start to deal with in August. But the themes are already starting to pop through. Now, this is a full moon that is going to be at 29 degrees. It is a transitioned full moon from the last. Our last few full moons have been 5, 4, 3. I'm not doing a countdown. I'm actually really not. 2. And then that full moon in Capricorn was at 1 degree. And now we flipped the switch. 29 degree full moon. 29 degrees is the ending of a zodiac sign. Endings, finalities, something coming to a close, something shifting, something changing. This is a finality type of full moon in a cardinal sign. That's the instigator. Endings are beginning to instigate. This is a full moon while Mercury and Jupiter have just went into shadow. Some of the endings that we are going to instigate have layers to them. So whatever's going on is not just about this full moon. The impact of the full moon is deep. It is heavy. It is weighted. For a lot of people, there is either going to be a push forward into new momentum, into new responsibilities, new things coming to light and lighting a fire under your ass. Or it is the cutoff, it is the closeout, and it is the determinate instigator of fear. Fear. Why do I say fear? The day before this full moon on July 20th, and to be clear, I'm actually recording this on July 20th, Mars is going to go into Gemini. It has not happened yet at the time that I'm recording. But Mars is going to go into Gemini. And there is going to be a trine that starts between Mars and Pluto. When the full moon actually perfects at 29 degrees, it will be within a degree of Pluto because Pluto is back at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Add a layer to that. Pluto is going to retrograde back into Capricorn. What does Capricorn rule in your chart? When Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn, it's going to come back to 29 degrees. This will be the last time Pluto will be at this degree. And he has been at 29 degrees several times over the last 2 years. I'm going to reference back to my Mercury retrograde video. We have a lot of unfinished business about the last 2 years that it's about to start to come back to light. That's coming back around. We have closure and unfinished business. Old themes are going to come back around. Old topics can come back around. It might not be with the same person. There will be adjustments. There will be changes. A lot of other planets are in different places. So you can have the same situation, the same theme, but with a different person. Or you got the same person, but you got new shit going on. There's unfinished business, unresolved details, themes that are coming back because we need to close something out. 2 things speak to close out in the immediate energy of this full moon. This week of the full moon was the last Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. This will not happen again for like 76 years. It can be a minute. For many of us, it's not even going to be in our lifetime. For some of you, it won't even be in your children's lifetime. But it speaks to closeout. Again, this is a full moon at 29 degrees. It speaks to closeout. It's the end of a sign. But knowing that Pluto will come back to this area tells me whatever we're going to be closing out will not just happen in this full moon. No. We have something that must be triggered, that must be transformed, that must be worked through, that must be overcome. We must face a fear, face the past, face a trauma, take responsibility, or force someone else to take the responsibility they didn't take before. There will be accountability that will follow this full moon. That can be a big part of the theme in the energy. There is going to be a pattern, a reshaping, a revising, a recanting that will follow this full moon because it is with Mercury in shadow. Now, why do I keep bringing that part up? Because Mercury is actually doing a transit in this full moon. Mars is newly into Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. I don't know if you'll know that. You might have heard me say that a couple times. But Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Uranus, good old Uranus, is making a square, 90-degree angles to Mercury. If you want this in layman's terms, a lot of times a square would be like, square up, bitch. But there's a push towards independence, a push towards change, a push towards innovation, a push towards something different. And there will be elements of this week and this full moon we will be coming back to by the end of August. Not all of it, but elements of it. We've had one way of thinking, one frame of thinking that we're going to discover was not quite right, was not quite what we thought it was, wasn't really correct. And it's going to impact the weeks ahead. No matter how I look at this full moon, I can feel the energy around it. I have seen the vibration that it is doing to people and the way it is impacting people. It is making people crazy. It's making some of y'all crazy. But no matter how I look at it, I know it's not just this full moon. I know that it's bigger than just this moment. But that doesn't negate the fact that this is an intense moment for a lot of us. The one that I feel like has it the lightest, so to speak, the lightest are the mutable signs. Sagittarius rising, Gemini rising, Pisces rising, and Virgo rising. I feel like you have it the lightest because the one that is hitting your guys' angular houses is Mars's entry into Gemini. And I do feel like whatever happened for a lot of people in the Mars Uranus conjunction, it's like Mars goes into Gemini while Uranus is in the square to Mercury, and there is an announcement, there is word, there is news, there is something coming through, there is an arrival, there's some travel, and whatever this is, there are two sides to the story. Why? Because Mercury and Gemini loves duality. Duality. Sometimes duality is two truths can be the same thing at the same time. You can have two truths simultaneously. But sometimes there's an underbelly to certain truths, and there will need to be a course of correction somewhere in the midst of time. For the mutable signs, the arrival of Mars into Gemini is going to impact you in some way. And I do feel like for many of you, it is an arrival. Now, is somebody, all of us, are we all dealing with some kind of arrival on the 20th or the 21st? Not necessarily. Not necessarily, but you can get word of it, unexpected news of it, unexpected situations that are coming through. And I want you to be very mindful of the unexpected situations coming through, because the impact can speak volumes over the course of, again, of the next 6 to 8 weeks, the entirety of Mars and Gemini. That's why I'm saying it that way. And it too, Mars' entry into Gemini speaks to something that we need to close out that can go back about 2 years. If you want more details on that, go watch the Mercury retrograde video because I've already explained it. I'm not doing it again. The ones that I feel like are going to feel this a little bit more intensely are the cardinal signs and the fixed signs. Fixed signs because Pluto is in Aquarius. The cardinal signs because the full moon is in Capricorn. There's a melding, there's a meaning, and what we're instigating and what we're starting to handle has some level of trigger to it. Now, for some people, it will be old wounds, old trauma, old triggers that must be faced. For others, though, it's going to be something new, but it's going to be an old theme. It's going to take us towards something from the past. It's going to make us need to call or contact someone from the past. It is going to bring someone from the past back around. There will be news. There are adjustments. There are changes. And whatever starts to hit in this full moon will not just be about this full moon. It really won't. We are starting to close something out, but knowing that Pluto will come back to this 29-degree mark in September, stay there until November, and then leave. It's not just about this moment, but there is a trigger. There is an instigation of what we must go back to, of what we must heal, of what we must transform, of what we must face, of what we must understand. Pluto can be a planet of abuse and trauma, but Pluto can also be the planet of transformation and healing. I hope for healing, but I understand for a lot of people, to trigger the wound that must be healed, there must be a revisiting of triggers of abuse or trauma. And I need people to be prepared in the days around the full moon, not just the full moon, not just the full moon. The moon entered Capricorn on Friday. The moon will still be in Saturn signs even after the moon goes into Aquarius, which happens on Sunday too. That's when the full moon is. That's when the moon will go into Aquarius. But while the moon is still in Aquarius, the sun will move into Leo and enter its opposition to Pluto. Some people will not learn of the trigger, not learn of this point of fear. They will not learn about the abuse until later. when the sun hits the opposition to Pluto. So it is not just about the single energy of the day. Disruptions are coming. Triggers are coming. And that old theme brings new thought. That old situation brings new energy, brings a new story, brings new or renewed focus. However, I need to word that for you. We got unfinished business. In the week of this full moon, not just this full moon. I'm not discarding the full moon, but I'm telling you it's the entire week. The week of this full moon is meant to bring back old wounds, triggers, traumas, abuse, because we have unfinished business that needs to be resolved. Some of you will be the trigger for someone else's unfinished business, and you don't even know it yet. Some of you do. And it's going to be a big theme that will carry through the Mercury retrograde. And I already did a video about that. So go watch it. Anyways, all right, moving along. If you have never been a part of a full moon or new moon video with me, that is okay. I read from a whole house system. And the way I look at everything is I don't care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees or 26 degrees. The entire zodiac sign your ascendant is in is your first house. And every numerical house that follows is associated with the next zodiac sign. So that's how I feel about it. Okay. Moving along. For Aries and Aries risings. All right, babies. Mars is your chart ruler. And Mars is going to enter Gemini. That's your third house. There can be issues with siblings, issues with travel. There can be a situation at hand that unexpectedly has come up, either right before Mars went in Gemini or because Mars went in Gemini. That is going to impact your plans for the future. It can impact the career. You could be blindsided because Saturn, the ruler of the full moon, is in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. There can be healing. Uranus in your second house of money is going to make a square to Mercury in this full moon. For some of you, there can be unexpected things, not just involving your siblings, but also children. Your children, their children, depending on how close you are with your siblings. Sometimes, we got to deal with those nieces and nephews. Sometimes we have to be the additional parent. Now, the one thing that I love about being an auntie is the fact that, one, I get to send them home. Let's start with that. But two, the trust level of what my nieces and nephews bring to me compared to their parents, it's a very different story. And many of you can start to deal with things around children. It's not children, it can be loved ones, people from your childhood can be an impact. Now, this is a full moon in your 10th house of career, and it's going to be very tightly conjunct that Pluto. There can be things that are going on in the workplace that are going to impact the way that you communicate with the people around you. The third house, Mars going into Gemini, the third house has to do with the communication, marketing, branding, the way that you connect. Mars is going to be in a trine to Pluto. There can be an announcement, an unexpected announcement that impacts the loved ones, but also impacts your colleagues, clients, and coworkers. Whatever is going on right here is going to deeply impact the way you see the future. And many of you are going to be forced to make certain decisions in the days around this full moon, in the weeks ahead, based off what is coming to light. It's not just about this full moon. Sometimes you'll get into a certain amount of transits and you will honestly know that that is a completion energy. That is a level of energy. This one is not. And many of you are going to find yourself in a place where you are questioning how you move forward. And I got to tell you, slow like turtle. And that ain't y'all's forte. We both know this, especially with the North Node in your first house right now. That's not your forte. And because you need to go slow, many of you are going to become a lot more combative in your conversations. You're going to want to argue a lot more. Why? Because Mars is in Gemini. Now, when Mercury goes retrograde, don't get caught with your pants down. Don't get caught lying. Trust and believe that, because that's just going to bite you in the ass if it happens. If it happens. We're all in different places. But many of you are being put forward to making some very harsh decisions. Two of Swords. And those decisions are going to require many people to realize that whenever you need to walk away. Some of you might be walking away from a loved one with that Mars entry into Gemini while Uranus is squaring Mercury. You might not immediately walk away, though. That's the thing. Some of you might have to walk away from where you're at in career, because again, this is a full moon in your 10th house conjunct that Pluto. But again, it might be the announcement, the unexpected announcement that there will be downsizing. You might be offered a severance package in the near future or in the immediate with the full moon. You might be met with some type of news that there's going to be a restructuring, knowing that there is an ending coming to play, but it's not necessarily yours. And other people are going to have to walk away. Other people are going to have to deal with the financial distress, 5 of Coins, that is coming through. Unexpected financial distress that is going to trigger everybody. Some of you might be losing your job soon. Some of you might be around people that are going to lose their job. And I need you guys to be prepared for that. But the unexpected news was meant to give light. It's meant to help in some way in the near future, because we do have new beginnings that are meant to come. Many of us started new things back in April when that Aries eclipse, y'all's eclipse happened. But I said then, only so much of what we are starting is going to stick. When we get to the later parts of 2024, oh, hi, later parts. How are you doing? Now we're getting into that. When we get into the later parts of 2024, some of the things that we have done will be tested. It will be tested. And this is why I'm saying slow like turtle. Knight of Coin. Some of the new that we've already started will be tested. It will not stick. It will have to change, and that will come in that realization, and that will make space for a slow revamping between now and next spring, the final Aries eclipse, of where we can start something new, of where we can have something new. Now, that Page of Cups can also have a love element to it, and that Mars-Uranus square, not Mars-Uranus, Mercury-Uranus square can have a love energy to it, because Mercury and Venus are in your 5th house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. If the theme of unfinished business for you is old relationships coming back around, there is a reason for that. It is not to bring them back forever. We are at the end of cycles. It is to test you. It is to make you aware of potential relationship issues. It is seeing if you have learned the lesson. Sometimes you get a new person with an old vibe. They have a similar pattern to an old person. And again, test, 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 test. Did you learn the lesson? Some of you did. For others, this is all about creativity. And you have some new creative idea that you would like to do that could potentially impact the future, but you don't necessarily know how people are going to see it. And it's going to take time to test things through. And I'm going back to this Knight of Coin. Slow and steady. Keep your trap shut. Keep your trap shut in that moment. Anyone that starts to come through for you that has some bright idea, they have some type of admiration, anyone that's starting to come through between now and August 5th, please understand they're coming through in some temporary energy. Something will get revised through the Mercury retrograde. Anyone that comes through after August 28th, is a lot more serious, and there's a lot more potential in the conversations at hand. Be prepared for that. The instigation right now in the full moon is testing you. It's testing you whenever it comes to creativity. It's testing you when it comes to the way that you see your career, how you wish for your public image to be seen, how you are admired by people, how you are marketing, how you are working with people, how you are communicating. And if you jump on the first bandwagons that come through, you can end up falling on your face. You can get tricked into something that doesn't need to happen. Be mindful of any conversations that start to happen over the next 2 weeks going into the Mercury retrograde, because they are likely not to stick, and they are likely to be the tests to see, again, have you learned your lesson? Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Taurus and Taurus risings. Y'all, so much trouble. Not really. It wasn't you. It was the Mars-Uranus conjunction. But many of the issues that kind of just came up this week was because you decided to do something out of the box, which is so unlike you, Mr. and Mrs. I like to be in my rut, and I like to be in one spot, and I don't want to move, and I don't like change. But then the Mars-Uranus conjunction happened. You're like, guess what? We're changing everything. And some of you, whatever you have changed is going to impact you financially. Why? Because that Mars entry into Gemini is your second house of money. Some of you are going to suddenly make really big changes that are impacting the family. Why? Because your chart ruler, Venus, is in that fourth house of home, home life, and family. Now, for some people, this is going to be good changes. For some of you, this is changes that are going to close out whatever situation started to pop up last summer when that Venus retrograde was going through Leo. The vibes, the situations of last summer, but they're going to go different this time because Venus isn't going retrograde again. No, she's going direct. But there's still revisions that are going to be necessary because Mercury's retrograde is mostly in Leo, not a whole lot of Virgo. So you got revisions, new ideas, sudden changes that are going to be going on with and around the family, with and around the home life. And some of you, knowing that it can be family, might find yourselves having to take on some additional travel. Some additional things can be coming to light in this full moon. Why do I say that? Because the full moon is in your ninth house. It's a travel house. The sun is in the third house. That's a travel house. For some people, whatever starts to change can be this change of I'm going to go back to school, ninth house full moon, so I can have a different impact on my career. I'm going to make some opportunity, connect in some way because I have a different path that I want to go in my career. That full moon is in a conjunction to Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is going to trine Mars in your second house. Big picture plans. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So many things have been coming to light. So many changes are afoot. Again, we have an energy that speaks to building new traditions. Hi, tradition, Hierophant. Hi, have you met? Yes. But so many things speak to we need to move in a direction, change some things, because wherever we go next has got to be better than what we've been going through. Remember, this was the last Mars-Uranus conjunction in your first house. Completion, finality. You have a desire to be more independent, to do something more on your own. That is an energy that lights fire under people's asses. And for you to have the power and have the image that you desire with the future moving forward, there's going to be some changes. Let's go to this guy. I like to call the magician the alchemist because he can take any material possible and MacGyver that into something new. Let's turn this into this. Let's transform and blend and create this whole different thing. What are you creating? What are you changing? What have you been forced to change? Where have you been feeling pressure for so long? And now all of a sudden, I need to break out. You finally have the strength to do that. Quite literally, it's the strength card. And no matter where you go, you feel like luck is on your side. I don't feel like you're wrong. I really don't. But whenever it comes to where we're going next, your level of needing to close things out will have different waves between now and springtime. You'll have one level of it now, and then you're going to have another level of it in the springtime. Not all of you are going to be prepared for that. But this Nine of Cups energy, for a lot of people, that can be a solo energy. It can be a long-term solo, luck is on your side. Let's build something lucky. But it's not the perfect 10. We don't always have a partner in the situation. Uranus in the first has made you more and more independent, doing things on your own than ever before. For many of you, there is an instigative energy forcing you to break out of the rut to go do something on your own. If you've worked in the family business, we're probably making changes. For us to get out of that, we're going to have to potentially go back to school, go do some training, go do something different, go do something that alters that frame of thinking, direction. And for many of you, that direction is meant to help you find a whole new type of happiness and give you a whole different level of empowerment. And I want to be very clear that in the strength card, there is a sun. Here's the sun. These cards speak to Leo season, Leo transits. Mercury's retrograde will mainly be in Leo. Venus is currently in Leo, your chart ruler. The sun's about to go into Leo. Leo season is going to have a very big frame of rethinking, reshaping, and changing, revising. And again, we are going to have old themes revisiting the situation, whether that's the old people coming back around or not. There's a whole lot of energy that speaks to new things coming through while also closing out the old. Okay. Okay, moving along. We're gonna get to Geminis and Gemini risings. All right, babies. Now, when it comes to Mars entering your first house, I really feel like there could have been something from the past that suddenly gave you a whole different motivation. Something from the past with that Mars-Uranus conjunction. Now, all of a sudden, you have a whole different idea, a whole different mindset, a whole new drive, a whole new mindset because Mars is entering your first house. Now, the thing is, I hope you're going about this with integrity, because if you're not, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Be prepared for that. Add a level to that. For some people, Mars and Uranus, that conjunction in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings, wasn't a blast from the past. No, you found out something else has been going on behind your back. And again, Mars coming into your first house is going to light a fire under your ass. Congratulations. How you feeling about that? I think it's kind of fun. I had Mars in my 12th house last year. So I could say that. It can give you a different drive. It can give you a different ambition. Now, what it can also do, fair warning about this, it can make you more clumsy. This is coming from a Mars ruled individual that magically gets all these different bruises against me. And I'm just like, where did that one come from? I don't even remember hitting anything. Mars is going to make you more clumsy. Mars is going to make you a little bit more accident prone. And you need to be prepared for that over the course of the next 7 weeks. September. Yeah, it's like September 4th or 5th. That's whenever Mars is going to leave. You're going to be a lot more clumsy. And when Mercury goes retrograde and you're not thinking straight, Mercury being your chart ruler with Mars in your first house, oh my God, babies. You are so freaking clumsy. You need to be prepared for that. Anyways, this is a full moon in your 8th house. Death, debt, taxes, inheritance, secrets, affairs, relationships, especially sexual relationships, blast from the past, discoveries of affairs, discoveries of financial infidelity, financial secrets, things that are impacting you. A truth must come out, and it is going to make you weary as to how you continue trusting people financially. Many of you don't trust people financially. Pluto in your 8th house has been a lot of lessons and created different waves of debt in its lessons. So there can be a lot of fear around that. There can be something that triggers that old fear, that old mindset, that old way of thinking. But some of you might finally find a whole different wave of independence, of being able to quit working for someone, because Saturn is in your 10th house of career, and breaking out on your own. There can be opportunities coming through. Now, here's the deal. I don't like the idea of y'all trying to start a job in a Mercury retrograde normally. The last few Mercury retrogrades had some energy where Neptune was involved. In this particular instance, the one that we're about to have in August, Neptune's not involved until the very last day. The last day of Mercury retrograde, Venus hits an opposition to Neptune. There's no other transit to Neptune in the Mercury retrograde but that one. So if we're going to do something new, I'm going to say for once, do it sooner. Do it sooner. Don't do it whenever we start getting back into Neptune transits. Because Venus will do that Neptune opposition, and then the first eclipse will be in a conjunction to Neptune. So that's not fun. Make very serious changes now and put a lot of things in perspective. Put a lot of things into focus and find something that speaks to internal balance and puts you in a better position. Now, the Mercury retrograde will start in your 4th house of home life, and family following this full moon. And then it's going to go back into that 3rd house of siblings. So I need you all to be prepared for things that are going to happen that are not just about work, not just about lighting a fire under your ass. In some ways, lighting a fire under your ass is going to create tension in the household. It's going to create tension in the family. And y'all need to be prepared for that once Mercury goes retrograde, because that's going to mean like, you're going to hear those things like, I don't know where you're getting off on this. I don't know where you're getting information. I don't know why you're acting this way. I don't know what got up in your ass. Ace of Swords. The truth. Reality. Something that is real. I'm speaking the truth. If you haven't been speaking the truth, then you can be caught in lies. And you don't need to have that kind of thing happen. What happened the last time Mars was in Gemini? That was August of 2022 to March of 2023. That's a very big window. I know that. Mars was direct up until October 30th, turned retrograde on the 30th, went backwards to 12 degrees, turned direct on, 8. I did that backwards. Turned direct in January, right around January 12th, and then came back through, did not finally leave until the last week of March. What happened in that 7-month time frame, August of 2022 to March of 2023? What happened? What did you do? How did you behave? What were you caught doing? Themes of that timeline are very, very likely to come back around. And again, if you're not being honest, if you haven't been putting the right things together, there can be a lot of exposure. But with Jupiter being there, you can also fix a lot of damage from that time frame where you have been solo in so many ways. With the 9 of coins, we can finally put some things together and be able to show how much we have grown and how much we have changed and how much we have ascended. Many of you have been able to change and ascend into a new place of power. Many of you will ascend and change into a new place of power and responsibility and authority and a regaining of your confidence. Because I said that confidence regaining was coming once Mars comes into your first, especially when we get close to that Mars-Jupiter conjunction. And that's not happening until the middle of August. But whenever I say we wish to get these levels of perfect tens, we do. We wish to achieve things. And many of you, where you are starting to move towards an achievement, is going to result in independence later. I'm not putting a timestamp on that. Independence later, but we must heal the individual. We must put certain things together as an individual for this to be possible. And there are times that you are frustrated and you think that you are in an unending situation because somebody has been looming over you. And I am telling you, that is not going to stay much longer. A fire is going to be lit under your ass, and the drive to do certain things and reveal certain things will be very, very strong as Mars goes through your first house. Okay. Okay. Intuition really grabbed right there. I could feel that. Anyways, moving along. For Cancers and Cancer risings, there's something going on with another person that's going to result in changes. Changes in the way that you see your home life, changes in the way that you see career. Are you going to see all of those changes in the full moon? Absolutely not. Are they going to spiral into changes that are going to impact these areas in the long run? Absolutely. And you need to be prepared for that. Now, there can be tensions, especially tensions around money, around the full moon. And it can put you in a place where you can feel tension and stress and isolation, because Mars is going to enter your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. The tensions with another person can force you into a form of isolation. It can force you into a timeline where you can feel a little bit more tense, argumentative, distressed, depressed. I need you to be prepared for that. It's a hard truth to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it is something that we're going to have to deal with. This is a full moon in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. This is also going to be in a conjunction to Pluto. So certain commitments that you have with another person, certain situations that have been agreed upon with another person are likely going to change based off of a financial issue. Pluto in the 8th. Now, for some of you, it's literally meaning death. Is it death in the moment? Not necessarily. But could we have had a passing of someone recently? Absolutely, because you've had a lot of 12th house transits. You've also had a lot of blindsiding, things that you were not anticipating. That, again, can have an issue that speaks to financial, but it can also be issues that speak to secrets, affairs, and things that people did not necessarily want to come to light, but they're very likely to come to light, and they're very likely to end up impacting you in the weeks to months ahead. Please understand, you're not seeing everything. And whenever certain people are being very, very reactive around you in the weeks ahead, it's not necessarily your fault, but it's going to potentially put you in a dark place. There are old wounds, old relationships, old traumas, and old patterns we have to put to bed. In a lot of ways, the way we put them to bed, the work that we do is going to be so helpful for our mental health in the long run, but it's going to be a very heavy weighted situation in the moment. Now, here's the deal. When Pluto retrogrades back into your 7th house, and I know I always give a little bit more warning than just the full moon, but when Pluto retrogrades back into your 7th house, that is a big encompasser of what we deal with in eclipse season. The stronger of the two eclipses will be the Venus one, the Libra one, and that is in your 4th house of home life, and family. It is very likely that whatever is going on with another person in this moment is literally going to lead to a change in your home life with your family in the months ahead. You are going into a lot of uncharted territory. You're going to be blindsided. You're going to be discovering things that are going on behind your back. And it is going to be a wave of patterns that are going to continue for months. And that can make you feel very unsure and very restless. And again, very depressed. Nine of Swords. Once certain truths are realized, once certain things come to light, once we start to put a better idea of the changes involved, the 9 and the Ace equal 10. Tens are completions. The 10 of Swords is a cutoff. We're getting really close to something being cut off. We're really getting really close to cutting someone else off or being cut off. Now, how fast that comes through is going to be different for everybody. Chariot card. When I say Mars is going to come into Cancer in September, really, that's not that long. And August, with all the dynamic to it, feels like it's going to go really, really fast. So be prepared for things to happen in a very quick manner in the weeks ahead. And they put you in a place to where you have to make certain changes and you have to do certain work. Now, sometimes that work is going to make you be a lot more guarded. This is mine. These are mine. These are my kids. This is my home. This is my money. This is my peace. And if you are going to impact my peace, I'm going to go in a different way. However, if you're going to contribute to my peace, the 6 of Coins, then I will contribute to yours. What you give me, I will give you in return. The way I receive your energy is the way I will pay energy back to you. That can be good. That can be bad. It is the energy you are receiving from the other person, from the other situation, that makes it very, very rare where we need to make changes. The thing about the 7th house is it's everybody else, anybody else. It doesn't matter. It's your high school bully. It's your partner, business or relationship. It's your coworkers. It's the milkman. It's me. It's anybody and everybody else. Something needs to be adjusted for you to be able to get back to the happy place that you wish to be. 3 of Cups. We have celebrations and we have things that can happen. We have community that can come around and surround you. But it's not going to happen until after you accept these truths, going back to the first 2 cards, and allow yourself to get out of the funk. But I really think for a lot of you, you're at the start of something that's going to feel like a funk. And it's going to take weeks to be able to understand the weight of the decision and the commitment that we are no longer okay with being a part of. Weeks to months. Okay, moving along. We're getting to Leo and Leo risings. Y'all, so much trouble. I'm kidding. You're really not that much trouble, but you're going to feel like you're going to start causing trouble. Why do I say that? Because when this full moon perfects, Venus is going to cross that 12-degree mark. Y'all might remember a little thing called a Venus retrograde that happened last year. I cussed about it a lot. That Venus retrograde's point of shadow was 12 degrees of Leo. Yeah, 12 degrees of Leo. There are things between now and the start of the Mercury retrograde that's going to bring back old things from last summer that need to be dealt with. Simultaneously, though, while Mars is in that 11th house of friends and network and colleagues and clients and community and online stuff and all that other 11th house things, you're going to find out who you can trust. Many of you are at the start of some very Plutonian lessons that not everybody is your friend. Not everybody has the best for you. And there will be some cutoffs in the energy. There will be conflict in the energy. And there are a lot of frustrations that can be going on in this energy. Here's the deal. Pluto in your 7th is a 20-year lesson. It is a 20-year cycle. And it can either be a situation where we can empower other people, or we can attract abusive people. That's a negative one. Or we can attract the hate and jealousy of other people. But whenever it comes to the way we see people, we desire somebody that is more strong, more informed, more intelligent. We desire a different quality of person. They must contribute a certain amount of energy to our life before we can entrust them to stay in it. Some of you, there will be success in this summer's energy. For others, there's going to be hard truths and hard cutoffs. And some of the people that you surround yourself with do not belong. Now, the one thing that I noticed with Leo risings is that if you guys started a relationship during that Mars retrograde time frame, Mars in Gemini last time, and again, that was August of 2022 to March of 2023. The retrograde was October 30th to January 12th. If you started relationships in that time frame, you confused friends for lovers. I guarantee it. Many of you started relationships during that time with somebody that should never have been more than a friend. And I need y'all to be prepared that whenever it comes to certain people that you have trusted yourself with, when it comes to just people that you have surrounded yourself with, many of you are going to have a large cutoff game involved. There you go. 10 of Swords, 10 of Wands. There's a large cutoff game in this horizon. Cutting off another person, getting through a situation with another person, understanding the trauma, the abuse, and the frustration, and the heartbreak another person has provided. But you also need to be focused with this Five of Cups energy that we can be stuck in a loop of the past and missing opportunities that are in front of us. There is something that is meant to shift in the way that we see partners and the way that we connect to other people. And the quality of person is meant to be different. Jupiter is in your 11th house of friends. Pluto in that start of the cycle in the 7th house of relationships. The quality of person is meant to change. The old way of doing things, the people we keep losing, the people we keep cutting off, the people we can't stand anymore, don't stay stuck in the patterns of the past. It's not helping you. It's not helping you at all. The quality of person is meant to change. We are healing and leveling up these types of areas. We are not meant to subject ourselves to these energies where we feel abuse from other people. In fact, we wish to achieve success, more drive, more independence with the Six of Wands energy. And whenever you add in the Nine of Coin, many of you, for you to have success, you're going to be doing more things on your own, independently. I always call the Nine of Coins a boss bitch card. It is a woman in a garden. She seeded herself. She grew herself. These crops, this fruit, she sells herself. The money is hers. Piss on a man. Sometimes it's the dude. You seed it yourself. You crop it yourself. You sell it yourself. Piss on anyone else. You doing it on your own. For many of you, to have the success that you desire as an individual, we need to let go of an old mindset, old situations, old relationships. We need to work past the trauma. And that is going to take months to understand. Now, in the moment, a full moon in your 6th house of health can also have to do with pets. It can be your health. It can also be the health of another person. Now, the 6th house, whenever I say pets, pets can be anything. Dogs, cats, ferrets, snakes, horses, pets, livestock, animals. There can be something that changes around an animal. There can be something that is triggered and changing around someone's health, around your health, because the sun is in the 12th house. And you can also discover in the days after the full moon, when the sun, your chart ruler, moves into your first house and hits the full opposition to Pluto, just how deep and triggering and traumatic something or someone has been to you. Something sets in this full moon. And for you to heal all of the energies that have been at play over the last 2 years, at minimum, the last 2 years. For some of you, it goes even further back. And in a lot of you, we've had one-on-one lessons about this. But as a collective, I can say 2 years. For you to get certain things set straight and regain your power, you need to be far more aware of just how large and how dominant the other side is and has been and what they've been doing. Many of you are coming out of fog, you're coming out of a shadow, you're coming out of a cloud, and you're going to be forced to face something immediately following the full moon when the sun hits in opposition to Pluto. Okay. Okay. Moving along. All right. For Virgos and Virgo risings. All right, babies, your chart ruler, Mercury, is going in a square with Uranus. You can learn something very unexpectedly that is blindsiding. And it's going to take you days to wrap your head around, weeks to wrap your head around. And it might even force for a certain amount of change that you were not anticipating. Because again, you're about to be blindsided in the days around you. You will be learning about things that have been going on behind your back, and they are going to force you to make some decisions in the weeks ahead. But some of those decisions that you will make will be made in one moment, but then something will result in a change. Why do I say that? Because Mercury is going to go retrograde in Virgo, and it's going to go back into your first house. Mars is entering Gemini in the full moon directly. Mercury is going to go through the square with Uranus. Mars is entering Gemini. Your 10th house of career, your goals, your public image. There is something that is going to change. Now, for some of you, that change is going to be a level up. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to take you into a whole new horizon, whole new ways of making money. You got something new coming through. But for some of you, you got something old coming back at the same time. Because that's fun. Some of you, you need to address some of the things that you have done in the past and take ownership of certain things for you to finally be able to move forward into a direction that you are desiring. Now, this is a full moon in your 5th house of love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, and children. And what you can find is that there can be conflict going on with the people around you. There can be frustrations going on with the people around you. There is so much of this energy that speaks to certain levels of frustration, and even some of you being forced to walk away. You think I'm playing. Some of you do, but I'm not. Some of you are looking at all of these different opportunities and you don't necessarily know which one that you can take, which one that you move forward with. And some of you are being blindsided by certain things that is going to lead to a completion. It is going to lead to an ending. It's not going to lead to an ending directly in this full moon, but it can between now and eclipse season. Because the first eclipse in September is the out of sign eclipse in Pisces, your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. Saturn, the ruler of this full moon, is in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. There can be something triggering between this full moon and the eclipse on September 17th, sorry, that is going to come through, that is going to lead to something ending. It's going to lead to a tower moment. It's going to lead to something crumbling and frustrating. And again, there can be conflict. The goals and how you see the future and how you are moving forward is very, very likely not going to change. The people around you, the people in your surroundings are going to make that change for you. When you add the 3 of Wands to the 7 of Wands, you get the 10 of Wands. Completion. Leaving burdens behind. Leaving traditions behind. Leaving the old way of doing things behind. There can be frustrations in the workplace in the weeks ahead. There can be frustrations in your goals in the weeks ahead. There can be issues that start to pop up with your children. Here's the Page of Coin. This is a full moon in your 5th house of children. There can be issues that are popping up with and around your children in the weeks ahead. You will be blindsided. Now, some of you, as we go through a lot of these 12th house transits, you are going to pull away. You're going to become more reclusive. You're going to feel more things fall to the wayside. You're not going to want to engage in the same way. That's not necessarily helping you. You need to engage. You need to push forward. You need to put these things in motion for your career. You need to do them. You need to connect. Your last card, 3 of Cups. You guys got 7. You need to connect, because the connection and the new things that are coming through is meant to help you set the path for where you're going into the future, because we are doing 2 things at once in this energy. We are trying to strive ahead into something new while simultaneously dealing with old wounds, old trauma, and old bullshit, and closing out old patterns, old situations, old relationships. The connection into the new is meant to help you. And that might be hard to swallow and understand in the moment, but you can see the writing on the wall. Your desire is to move forward and achieve and gain success, and you are meant to do that. However, some of the immediate decisions that you have made will end up being revised. They will not continue the way that they have been. And certain commitments, whether that is professional commitments or romantic commitments or even legal matters, are going to be a big part of the energy from now until eclipse season. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of adjustments to do, and we have a lot of changes to do. Okay. Moving along. We're going to take this to Libras and Libra risings. Oh, my loves. Who do you trust? Who do you love? Who do you believe? Who is on your side? Who are you expecting to come back around? Who has your back? Who does not? A lot of you have lessons coming through. Now, that is mainly because Venus, your chart ruler, is going to cross all of those retrograde points from last year following this full moon. And many of you are going to find more and more and more that there are people in your surroundings that have been snakes, that you are going to want to shed the skin of, that you are no longer wanting to communicate with. You are going to be so frustrated because you've given them so much grace and so much time, and you give everybody so much grace and so much time to your detriment. Some of you are about to deal with some things that are going to be going to your detriment. You're going to be learning in the moment, gaining experience in some lessons. Now, the full moon itself is in the 4th house of home life, and family. And you can have something immediately going on that impacts that home life, impacts the family, impacts that area. We have new information that can be coming through, and we can find something where we desire stability. But stability is going to come with a price. There can be a trigger around children. This is a full moon in your 4th house, but it's conjunct Pluto in that 5th house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. There can be something that comes to a close. There can be something surrounding a fear or a trauma or a trigger that is not just impacting the family, but is also impacting children, and can be a very big element of what we start to deal with in eclipse season when we have that Libra eclipse in your first house and Pluto has retrograded back into your fourth house of home, home life, and family. There can be a lot of weight and a lot of heaviness in this area in the months ahead that is being triggered in this full moon. Now, Mars going into the ninth house can force you to have to deal with some additional travel. It can force you to have to deal with some additional institutions. It can force you to make some judgment calls that are a long time coming. It can also force you to start to deal with things that have been going on over the course of the last 2 years. As a collective, I can say at minimum the last 2 years. For some of you as individuals, we have talked about longer dealings of situations, but for the most part, we can say at least the last 2 years. So again, we have a lot of truths that are about to come to light. Some of us are not going to like these truths, especially whenever it comes to the people that we have been surrounding ourselves with, because again, Venus, your chart ruler, is in the 11th house. When Mercury goes retrograde all through the month of August, Venus will be in Virgo, your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. There's going to be a lot of things that are coming to light, a lot of energy that is going to be at play where you have to make some very hard decisions with this judgment card. I always look at the judgment card and I do affiliate it with the sign of Libra because for us to have balance, there has to be judging. Now you can think justice, and that's not necessarily the same thing. The justice card is definitely a Libra card. But whenever it comes to the judgment, this is like Saturn's energy in Libra. Well, this is a full moon in Saturn's sign. The next eclipse will be in Libra. The stronger of the two eclipses will be in Libra. We have a lot of judgments that need to be made. Many of you are going to suffer energies of judgment because of the past decisions that you have made that have not been fair, that have not been right. And you can have some level of shedding of your own ego based off of your own misdeeds coming to light. Have you been integrous over the last few years? Have you been leading with your integrity? Or have you been leading with your ego? Things are coming back around. And for a lot of Libra risings, it's going to come back and bite you. A lot of people are not prepared for that. However, you planted the seeds a long time ago. 7 of Coins. Now, not everybody has the harsh energy. A lot more of you are going to have to make the judgment calls to other people. And again, the seeds were planted a long time ago. You've been watching something bubble to the surface. You've been watching something grow into what it is. You've been watching these situations, 7 of Coins. And for you to finally have the stability you wish to have, again, we're going to have to make those judgment calls. We're going to have to accept certain truth. We're going to have to cut some people off. The 4 of Wands, I always attribute it to like chair legs. You want all 4 chair legs firmly on the ground before you put your ass on the seat, or else you're going to fall. Stability. For us to have the stability that we desire, for us to feel more secure in who we are as an individual, many of you are going to have to break away from other people and do some things on your own. 9 of Coins. Some of you have recently been forced to break away. Saturn in your 6th has forced it. And you no longer have certain roles. You no longer have certain responsibilities. You no longer care for certain people the same way. And it is allowed for you to break away. And the people that the energies and that you start to recall from the past are so that way you can build something again on your own. For some of you, it's a mix of all of those things in different ways. But I would anticipate things from the past and people from the past heavily coming back through. And at minimum, as a collective, it's the last 2 years. But for some people, it goes way further back. It has a different energy imprint. It has a different timeline in mind. And it is still something that's coming back forward. And for a lot of you, it has to do with what's going on around your children, around your family, around this area of your life, and it's impacting the way you see the future. It's impacting the way you see loved ones and certain people. Okay, moving along. For Scorpios and Scorpio risings. Oh my goodness. How you doing? How are we doing? I don't know. Sometimes I want to pull my hair out. Oh, that Mars-Uranus conjunction was in the 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. Many of you immediately within those days around the Mars-Uranus conjunction had something happen with another person, had some type of legality situation that was impacting another person, had something disrupt or erupt around another person within a relationship, within a partnership. That was a big factor. Now, in the moment around the full moon is in your 3rd house. Communication, marketing, different ideas, different plans, siblings. Now, to be clear, Mars and Pluto are both at play in this full moon. Those are your chart rulers, guys. We got to deal with this in some way. Now, this is a full moon conjunct Pluto. Many of you could have something very disruptive that happens around the full moon. You might not find it out directly during the full moon, but maybe immediately after, within a few days after, something that's impacting the family. There can be something very triggering and abusive and traumatic around family, but there can also be something that's very, very transformative around family that's going to take us back to that unfinished business, especially whenever it comes to family and siblings, travel, and the home, the family home. Think of it that way. I grew up on a ranch, so I didn't always call the house I live in now my home. I called my grandma's house my home. It's like sometimes I tell my ex-husband, like, you know what? I'm sick of your shit. I'm going home. He knew damn well I didn't mend this house. I'm going to grandma's. So homes, family, roots, ancestral home type things. Now, Pluto is going to make a trine to Mars in the 8th house. Now, some of the changes in our mindset, the changes of what we're doing, can also be a change in the way that we make money. And you can be looking at the idea of starting a home business or really taking your home business up a notch in some way. There can be something in that regard. Pluto in the trine to Mars. Now, I know one of the things that I kept picking up on last summer while Venus was in retrograde in Leo was I didn't want to be seen. And the way that I was picking that up is like anyone that is going to be seen right now is going to be seen for the wrong reasons. And I know a lot of other Scorpio risings, whenever it came to last summer, if you were going to be seen, it had to be done strategically. There had to be a plan involved. There was something necessary involved because we did not want to be stuck in those other toxic patterns. Some of us got drug into it. Karma's a bitch. It happens that way. Others, however, are going to have certain elements of, again, of last summer that are going to come back around. Certain themes from last summer that are going to come back around. Certain themes of the last 2 years that are meant to come back around. And we're meant to, again, overcome some of those toxic patterns with the people that we have surrounded ourselves and start to welcome and understand how we can move forward into something far more productive and far more financially achievable. Now, the thing about Jupiter in the 8th house, just Jupiter by itself, this can be an expansion of income or it can be an expansion of debt. It can go either way. Now, some people are having more things tied to taxes, more bills. We just feel like every time we turn around, it's like, there's not enough money, there's not enough money, there's not enough money. But Mars coming into this area, if we have had an idea of how to make more money, or we've had an opportunity to change the way that we make money, it's time for that to really set in. And if we use this energy appropriately, Scorpio risings, we make a lot of money in these next 2 months. We can. We absolutely can. We can put something into motion in that revising, restructuring, revamping situation that leads to a lot of changes in our income. And this will help us with all of those fears around money. That's the truth. We have potential. And even in recent months, while we've been going through some of those other 8th house transits, like whenever we had the Sun Venus conjunction, that new moon conjunct Venus, all of those trines to Pluto from the 8th house, they've made us more and more aware of opportunities, but we haven't fully got to set into something. So we've still had certain fears around money. I really feel like a lot more people can actually start to overcome them and let go of the past and let go of a lot of those fears. Now, some of you, the way that you are going to be letting go of fears around money is because you're going to have to let go of a certain situation. And again, that Mars Uranus conjunction in the 7th house of relationships, many of you are letting go of a certain someone in your life because we have to overcome these toxic patterns. Yay, the Devil card. Okay. So we got these first 2 cards. We have the 5 of coins and we have the Devil card. Sorry, I have my hairband right there. Boom. It is time to overcome this. It is time to move in a different light. Time and karma are on our side. And it really comes down to, where have you been at over the last 2 years? Have you been coming from a point of honesty and integrity, or have you been coming from some type of point where you have been lying to others, that you have been trying to pull the wool out from other people, where you have been doing something detrimental that is impacting other people? If we've been doing the negative, you're not going to like the next 6 to 8 weeks. But if we've been doing the positive, we can use all of this energy in our favor, because the people we surround ourselves with, they will sing our praises. 3 of Wands. The solo work that we have been doing, 9 of Coins, can lead into something much, much bigger. 10 of Coins. Again, Mars in your 8th house, especially when it hits that conjunction to Jupiter, can lead to financial windfalls if done correctly. But for other people, it can bring this fear of dissolution coming back around. Use the energy in your favor. Take strides and steps to up your marketing game, to do something different, to change the way that you do things, especially whenever you're doing businesses from home. The thing about Pluto in the 4th house is that a lot of us, as Scorpio risings, because I am one too, are starting to do more and more businesses from home. The way that we are impacting people is also the way that we are impacting our home life. There's a lot more things going on around the house, and we need to step up our game in a lot of ways. I really like this energy for Scorpio risings over the course of the next few months. I think it can be done well and utilized very, very well if you are in alignment with where you're meant to be, if you are taking the right strides and the right steps. However, if you're staying sullen and sullen in your corner, you're not helping yourself. Mars and Gemini is so powerful for us and our voice and the way we reach out to certain people and the things that we deal with around people. Mars in the 8th house, Mars is happy here. This is a very pivotal energy for Scorpio risings. Use it to your advantage. Okay, moving along for Sagittarius. Sag, how you doing? How you doing? The Sagittarius. Oh my goodness. Mars is entering your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. You got stuff going on with another person, with other people, that's going to make you revise and rethink the way that you see things in the future. Why do I say that? Because Jupiter, your chart ruler, is in that 7th house of relationships and partnerships and other people. The ruler of said house is in shadow, making a square to Uranus. It's first of 3. It's about to go into retrograde. There are certain ways that you have been connecting with other people that are meant to change and get revised. For some of you, it is teaching you something in the moment. For others, it is teaching you something that is going to test your faith. For others, it is making you aware of where we need to let go of old ways of doing things, old financial burdens. We are going to have financial disruptions in the full moon in Capricorn. Why? Because that full moon's in your second house of money, your assets. In the immediate energy, there can be something that disrupts your money and makes you go back to an old way of thinking temporarily in the months ahead, an old way of doing things. We have old things to deal with when it comes to this energy. Now, some of you, the old things is because you need to learn a final lesson and finally be able to walk away and break away from certain paths, certain traditions. We need to make certain things happen that haven't been able to happen. The lessons will come quickly. They really will. The energy that we have been in, the days that are starting to come around, it really is going to take us to some old things. And you need to be prepared for how these old ways of doing things and old things are impacting your home life and impacting your family. Why do I say that? Because yes, it is a full moon in your second house of money, but Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn, good old daddy Saturn, he's chilling in that fourth house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, genetics. Yes, genetics. That's a newer thing that I like to include with the fourth house. The genetic inheritance of the fourth house can be very, very important. Now, there are old wounds and old fears that are meant to be triggered because some of the ways that we have been doing things, some of the ways that we make money, some of the ways that we care for our family, some of the things that we have been doing, some of the traditions that we keep wanting to live up to, they're not meant to stick. We are going to end up walking away from them. 8 of Cups with the Hierophant. The old way of doing things is not always going to work. And it's going to take a while to remember why it doesn't work and take a while to remember why we have to make this change. But there is an adjustment in the way that you connect with people that is meant to happen in this year. And by year right now, I'm saying June to June, by the way. And that's because Jupiter actually went into Gemini at the last few days of May, but I'm just calling it June to June because that's what makes sense to me. Anyways, moving along. You're going to be forced to make some very hard decisions. Some of these decisions are going to force you to, again, reconcile and learn a whole new way of doing things because the old way is not meant to continue. The old way of making money, not meant to continue. The old paradigm, not meant to continue. We have a shift in our connections that is meant to come through. And that is going to force you to make some decisions that you don't want to face yet. And I think for many of you, by the end of the Mercury retrograde, either you will be forced to make those decisions on your own or they will be made for you. Now, your next 3 cards. Once we learn our lessons, because sometimes we got to learn our lessons, wherever we go next has got to be better than where we have been. 6 of Swords. The things that we are doing on our own, the people we are connecting with on our own, this new vibration, this new energy with this 9 of Coins. By doing these things, it's empowering you more on your own. As much as you desire connection, desire commitment, as much as you can desire another person, so many of you know you are much better off doing certain things on your own. 9 of Coins. And the lessons that are going to come through are going to be very, very quick. And be clear about this. Mars in your 7th house of relationships is going to be here until the first week of September. Mars will not leave, will not be leaving until I think it's September 2nd. Oh, screwed that up. When is 4th? September 4th. My bad. That Mars entry into your 7th house is going to quickly make you rethink and revise certain connections and the things that you trust with other people. Because when Mercury goes retrograde, what we thought was the truth, what we thought we knew, what we thought we understood about another person is going to show up as not being the case. There will be revisions in the people that you connect with. And this is why I'm saying, even though Jupiter is in the 7th for the next 6 weeks, while Mars is in here too, we're not relying on other people, because some of those other people are going to let us down. The vibe for you at this moment is to do a lot more things on your own and not entrust others. There are lessons, and for many of you, it's financial lessons that are coming through based off of the people that you have been committed to, and certain commitments and certain responsibilities will not be remaining the same in the weeks ahead. And you've already started to see the little triggers of that in this week around this full moon. All right, moving along. We're going to Capricorns and Capricorn risings. My loves, I'm throwing you all back in jars because you've been doing so many crazy things. And for a lot of you, I'm really proud of you. For others of you, you need to go back in the jar because you need to recoup. You need to focus on your health. You need to focus on what's best for you. Now, over the last month, there has been a vibration change around you and an empowerment and a strength around you. There has meant to be a new version of you to come through in the last month, because both of the full moons in Capricorns have affected you as individuals. And your vibration has changed. There is a light around you. The healing is so noticeable if you just lean into the energy. Now, some of you are going to be forced to do a different kind of healing. Why do I say that? Because Saturn is in Jupiter's sign, and now Jupiter and Mars are in your 6th house of health. And I'm going to remind a lot of you, what happened when Mars was in Gemini last time? That was August of 2022 to March of 2023. What happened during that time frame? There can be things in your health, things in your work, people in your work. There can be themes of energies that are going to come back through that are going to trigger you and make you go back into an old way of doing things. And I'm not going to lie about that. That's going to come, but that's going to come probably more in September timeframe when we get into eclipse season. But the confidence that you've been feeling, the shift in who you are, the shift in this new way of being, that's necessary. The shift in your focus has been necessary. And many of you have a lot of work, literally work, that's going to be on the horizon, and work to do, and adjustments in your routine, and adjustments with certain relationships. Now, the other thing I want to bring up is what happened last summer. Where did we have certain financial changes last summer? Where did we discover certain secrets last summer? What did we have going on last summer while Venus was in Leo? Because those two are about to come back around. And so much of that old stuff is going to test you to see if you are fully prepared for where you're going next. They're going to test you to see that the tenacity that has started to come back through since Pluto has been out of Capricorn can stick. We have these old tests and these old paradigms that need to come back around. We have unfinished business that need to come back around. You have old things that need to be brought back up because we need to address the healing and test it. There's a lot of testing. Now, some of you, when you hear that, you're going to be very, very guarded, and you need to be. Some of you need to be a lot more focused on what's going on in your health, and you need to be. There are things that you are not completely prepared for, and I want you to save some of that money. Start saving any money that you have. Piggy bank that shit. Trust me, I want you to do that for now, because later on, whenever Mars does its retrograde stuff up in December, and it starts in Leo, it can cost you money. So again, do those things to save your money back. Listen to me. Now, you have a lot of things that are going to start to come to light and come to the surface. And what you're going to find, some of you are going to find yourselves in, is that the unfinished business and the unresolved things that are coming back around, you might be the trigger for it versus it being your business. And that's a newer mindset to have. Saturn, your chart ruler, triggered a lot of things in those squares right before Saturn went retrograde. A lot of those squares preceded the first full moon in Capricorn. Many of you triggered insecurities in other people that you were not aware of. So what can start to happen in the weeks ahead, especially through the Mercury retrograde, you might not have been aware of the insecurities or the things that you were bringing to light, and the stuff that had been going on from the past. You might not have been aware of those types of things. So just understand that not everything, Seven of Coin, that is about to pop up, that you are about to like trigger in other people, you didn't plant all of these seeds. No. And this is why I'm saying you need to stay guarded with some of your stuff, because what you're going to start to see with some of these people is like their old drama and their old things and their secrets are going to start popping up to the surface. You could have triggered some of these insecurities. Some of you, it is your insecurities that are going to get triggered. But I really get the impression, knowing you guys, just being you, confident and strong and vibing in this new energy. And hell yeah, I feel so good. Yeah. You just being you, going to trigger those other people. Now let's go to the next three cards. We have the Page of Swords, we have the Queen of Coins, and we have the Ten of Cups. New truths. Truths that are much more enlarging in their serving. This empowerment energy that many of you are feeling. Some of you are just feeling that boss bitch energy. Even if you are a dude, it does not matter. You're feeling certain things. And for you to continue to have this vibration grow into what you want it to be, this perfect 10 of happiness. This is the goal I want. This is the career I want. This is the future that I want. This is the relationship what I want. This is the things that I want. You're going to have to trust other people to do what they need to do. You're going to have to allow other things to happen with certain people. It's not all going to happen in a single moment. But we are going to have a lot of things tied to other people and other people's drama and other people's bullshit that are likely going to fall on your plate in some way, that you're likely to get the blame in some way. There's a lot of people that are very, very insecure about you. And if you let this get to you over time, it can bring back your old wounds and your old fears and your old insecurities. And I need you to be prepared for that. Even if in this moment you're like, I'm great, I'm fine. That doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Now, you can have something that in the immediate of this full moon that happens that has some type of windfall type energy with that full moon conjunct Pluto in your second house of money, just as much as you can have something that is triggering to where you have a fear that you might not have the same kind of money moving forward. That's not necessarily meant to be the case. I feel like more of you are going to trigger the insecurity in another person because you have had so much regaining in your confidence and so much relief of certain pressure that has come off of you. Okay, moving along. All right, babies. For Aquarius and Aquarius risings, this is not a fun one for you guys. It's really not. A 12th house full moon in the unknown, the unseen, ending, stuff from the past, blast from the past, blindsiding situations that can be very, very triggering. Why do I say that? Because this is a full moon in your 12th house that is in this conjunction to Pluto in your first. Triggers of fear, triggers of insecurity. Pluto is going to make a trine to Mars. And earlier this week, Mars was in a conjunction to Uranus in your 4th house of home life, and family. This entire week could have had an unexpected disruption around the home life that ends up impacting the kids, that ends up impacting loved ones. There can be something going on with another person that has been brought to light that is now starting to bring up old wounds, bring up those old triggers, those old frustrations, these things that need to be healed, these things that we do not like to speak of, these insecurities. There can be so much insecurity in this moment, and you can feel like everything's going well for another person, or you can see how someone is falling apart, and all of their energy, you start to absorb it. You start to take on their frustration, you start to take on their temperament, and it brings up again all of those old wounds and those old insecurities, and it can be a lot if you are not ready for it. Some of you can handle it, others not so much. And not all of you are going to be in the best mindset in the month ahead, because you will be questioning your own decisions and whether you've made the right ones. Some of you have. Some of you are going to do fine. You just need to get through the past situation, overcome these little hiccups that's gone on down the road. Others are starting to recognize that the person that we have been committed to, the person that we thought we knew, is not the person that we anticipated. They're not being true to us. And that it is the discovery of the shit that's been going on behind your back that is going to make you focus on those other people. Get the PI. Check those bank statements. Check that social media. You got that little bit of an inkling. There's a reason why. Not everybody in your circle is meant to be trusted. Not every business partner is on the up and up. Some people can't handle the energies. Now, again, with this Temperance card, we're going to start with this. The negative impacts of another person can start to impact you negatively and start to take you back to a dark place. A full moon in your 12th house can be both blindsiding, but it can also be something that deeply impacts your mental health. It can make you question whether you have made the right decisions, whether you're doing the right things, whether you're trusting the right people. Your head and heart must be in alignment for you to see things clearly. And if you are not seeing things clearly, if your intentions are scattered, then you must focus your attention in a different area, and you need to take a step back. That is not going to be easy for everybody. And whenever you start to take certain steps back, yeah, you've got some heavy cards here. But the Ten of Swords and this Tower card, when you take that step back, all you're doing is bringing out their insecurities. But you need to see those insecurities. You need to see the colors of that other person. You need to see the writing on the wall and not just the word that's been right in front of your face. No, take those steps back and really look at the big picture. Have you been carrying their weight? Have you been doing what's right for you? Is the people that you're with, is the partner that you're with, are they worthy of you? And many of you are going to find very, very quickly, 8 of Wands, if you haven't already, that some people that you have been around, some of the people that you have trusted in your home, with your family, in your surroundings, are not who you thought they were. There can be an impact. You can be blindsided by something that is around your children, again, around a loved one, within your home life, within the family. That can light a fire under your ass, but at the same time, it can give you target lock on another individual. Knight of Wands. Have you trusted the right people? Are you committed to the right people? Are you surrounded by the right people? Many of you are going to find the people that you have been trusting are not good for you. Some of you are going to have somebody from the past that comes back around that triggers all of these old wounds and all of these old insecurities. And it is going to make you take a step back because you need to heal something. And if you don't heal it, then you can't move forward in the way that you desire. There are triggers in this full moon. And many of you are going to be blindsided. Many of you are going to feel the floods of emotion. And some of the emotions that you are feeling, they're not all yours. And again, take that step back. If they are all yours, you're going to be able to tell. But if you break away from another person, even for just a few minutes, an hour, a night out with the girls, you come back, you can see something differently. You'll get a different idea of something. Your trust will be different. And I know Venus in the 7th house can be really good for relationships and it can really make you see certain things. But remember, Venus has been hosting that South Node since last summer. And the biggest thing that I kept saying last summer while Venus was in retrograde was that there is a hyperized purging of energy towards another person, towards those legal matters, towards those commitments, and towards those partnerships. You can have a revisiting of something that you need to purge. Many of you, you should have purged it last summer. You didn't. Some of you, you did purge something last summer and you got the same theme coming back around unexpectedly, and it is going to make you purge. I hope you make the right decisions, and I hope you finally allow for yourself to start the process of healing about the things that you don't like to talk about. You need to, because by talking about the things that you don't talk about, you're going to finally allow for the blockages in your mental health to fall away and transform you as an individual. Okay. Moving along. For Pisces and Pisces risings. Oh, my loves, my loves, my loves, my loves. Oh, your chart ruler, one of them, Jupiter, is in your 4th house of home, home life, and family. Mars is entering your 4th house of home, home life, and family in this full moon in your 11th house. Who's coming over? Who you trusting? What's different? Now, the thing about these 2 Capricorn full moons is the fact that Saturn is in your 1st house, and many of you can have felt a very big shift with the people that you trust and people that you surround yourself with. Certain friends, they don't live up to your way of thinking. They're not in your circle anymore. Like, you've had an adjustment in the circle of people that you surround yourself with. And now this is going to start to really impact the home life. Now, in some ways, this is going to make you a little bit more reclusive, where all you want to do is be at home. And as soon as you are at home and your ADHD kicks in, you're like, I'm going to change everything. We're going to repaint. We're going to reduce some stuff. I want new trim. I want this to be more farmhouse. I want this to be more something. And we're about to do a lot of adjustments, literally physically in the home. However, others of you, it is an adjustment around the family. And it is based off of the words of another person, making you aware of what's going on, that allows you to more focus on what's going on in your family. Oh, Lordy, 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 moving this along. So again, we have this energy here that speaks to that Hermit card, that speaks to pulling away, that speaks to pulling back. Now, this is a full moon in your 11th house of friends and network and colleagues, but it's in a conjunction to Pluto in your 12th. This Hermit card, again, the people that we've surrounded ourselves with have changed. We do not support them the same way. We're not on the same page with them in the same way. Something has adjusted, something has ended, something has changed, and it has put you to being a lot more reclusive. And Saturn retrograde in your 1st house can really speak to that energy. But now, again, we can have certain disruptions that start to impact the home life, that start to impact the family. New things coming through with this Ace of Cups, but then we also have the Star card, certain amounts of epiphanies, certain amounts of changes in the vibration, certain amounts of ideas that are coming through. And again, these ideas can have to be with, like, we're going to physically change these certain things around the family, around the home life, because I've got this great idea. Ace of Cups star card. Hope you got the money for it. A lot of work is going to need to be done. Some of it you're not completely prepared for, some of it you are. The thing about anytime you do any type of renovation work, which this Mars in the fourth house can really speak to renovation, by the way, is no matter how much you budget for, you're likely going to go over budget because there's going to be something that you are not anticipating. Not every renovation, not every project is going to go exactly as you have planned. And you're going to find yourself very, very quickly going through certain funds that you were not anticipating. Now, I don't mind this energy for you guys. I actually feel like you have the ability to put this is your last card, by the way, a whole different element and a whole different spin on certain things that allow for you to feel like this is going to be our new home moving forward. This is going to be our new vibration moving forward. This is going to be our new traditions moving forward. With this Hierophant card, some of you have become so hermit-like, because that first card was the Hermit card, and withdrawn, that you're going to realize that the traditions are going to be built without you. You have been cut off, and the disruption in the family has been removing you, or is about to be removing you. Why do I say that? This is a full moon in Capricorn, but Saturn and Neptune being your other chart ruler, are both retrograde. And they're both pulling away from certain energies. And they have been pulling away from certain energies over the last month. And it has made you a lot more reclusive. And if you are not willing to engage with certain people, then this Hermit card speaks volumes to what's going on around you. And many of you need time to meditate. You need time to think. You need time to heal. You need time to focus on these other things. And that's not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. But as long as you are being mindful of what your role is in this family, that Hermit card, the Star card, and the Hierophant, as long as you are being mindful to what your role is within the family, around your matrons, as a matron, if that's what you are, be aware that these dynamics and these disruptions around the family are going to force you to step up, whether you like it or not. You can only pull away and pull back for so long, and you're going to be forced to handle things that you don't want to be dealing with, whether you like it or not. Okay. I never get real heavy in the closings. Hit me up with questions, hit me up with concerns. Of course, the pictures and stuff will be posted up later. And then the next episode, of course, will focus on next week's energy and how we're going to close out that next full week of July. So I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.